movement, right? So everything in Pell work starts with static to movement to shield work, or static to shield work to movement, right? And so what that really means for me, I've heard people break down the 1 through 6 drill a lot of ways. I've taught this for a lot of years. I think it came from Jade, not other people, and I've heard people change it. I think they're doing themselves a disservice, and here's why. I don't think you need to go 1, 2 to the most common shot thrown in the SCA. There's no biomechanic learning there. That's just basically making your onside, offside faster. What I think you need to do is really practice the things that don't kinetically make sense, and this will become more apparent to you as you become a more experienced fighter. It's much harder to go leg on something with power. It's much, much harder than going leg, offside. This is much naturaler. What you'd like to learn from this drill, most importantly, is how do I get the sword to go to what's open, not to where the sword wants to go? Because you'll find there's a bunch of patterns in a sword. The first things you're going to learn your first year or so of fighting is I can go to the offside to the onside, most easy, right? Anytime I do that, or I can go to the offside to the leg wrap, super easy. It's harder actually to go leg wrap offside, believe it or not, by a bit. It just is, because the gravity is assisting this shot, right? And so what you want to practice is the harder things. It's harder to go onside to onside or offside to offside, the mechanics in that, right? And then it's harder to do that. What makes it harder is then movement, right? Because in fighting, as cool as we look in front of our Pell static, the footwork is what fucks it up, because we're dancing around and nothing ever goes the way you want, and someone's putting pressure on you and collapsing you in on yourself, right? And so I'm always, so shoulder width apart roughly, maybe a little bit more. Toes always pointed towards the bad guy, a little bit of bend in my knee. And when I'm doing my slow work, it always looks 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6. Not a shot I like throwing, but it actually is way more relevant when someone's leg to go leg the guy as he goes down, then chop him in the side of the head and hits the ground. So you learn it, right? Over here, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5. And again, I'm just trying to get it to the point where I can glide forward and side to side without tripping over my feet. And that took me a long time. And the other part of that is moving your shield, right? It doesn't always have to have a shield. A lot of times when I do it, I just do it actively holding my hand, because I can't support. My shield's about 9 pounds, 7 pounds. And what I can do is go 1, 1. See how it went up a little bit, right? 1, right? 1.
That's what I need to do.
1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4. Pushed it across the body, right? Sword's here for ditch block on this other side of my body, right? And then I'm gonna come back around. So that's 2, 4, 2. Down here, I'm up here where I think the shield up higher on my head, where I think that's gonna be. I've got a little twist here in my feet. I don't like that. That probably wasn't the best step. I might have wanted to do that step with maybe a little more shuffle. I like this better, but it doesn't matter. So all you want to do is get to the point where you can go around your Pell and go 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 6, 3, 1, 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 3, 5, 3, 6. Again, pay attention to the things you have the hardest time delivering power to. Do those maybe a little harder, work through it. Don't blow your elbow out. And as you get better at it, then you want to add the ability to go forward and backwards to that same training. And this is something, by the way, frequency over volume. It's not an hour, it's not 2 hours a day. It's 15 minutes a day, every day, because you have 15 minutes, you'll stick to it, and your mind will float, because your concentration may vary by whatever you got. I got ADD, man. I'm good for 15 or 20. That's where I'm at in life. But I did it 15 to 30 consistently throughout large blocks of my life and picked up things. Very few people I know can go 1, 2 like I can, up here to this. And I picked that up rolling this drill a million times. The other thing I do when I get to the Pell, I always do everything left-handed as well. Because my left hand, although I'm not a Florentine fighter, whatever I can get my retarded hand to do, my smart hand picks up a little bit of info from that. And then I learn about my body moving, and if my body's truly moving the way it should be, and you go back and forth. Plus, if I do it 1 through 6 with my left hand and 1 through 6 with my right hand, I've had a pretty good workout and I'm done. And I can go in the house. I've had my 15 minutes, it's all good. But I find there's a lot of bleed over. I learn from doing that. And also when this arm gets tired and you get sloppy, you're not really learning anything anyways.
Right.
The last thing I would add to that is the awkward state. All fights have a point of awkwardness, Typically it's inside. Typically it's you wind up places you don't want to be when you're on the Pell. And I spent a lot of time trying to figure out, okay, I'm corpse to corpse with somebody. How do I go one, and make room for my sword and then that? And that, if you notice, I've kept the space, I've got my shield on this guy's shoulder, sword arm. Or I snap and I snap out, right? And that's just how I'm gonna retreat from the fight, right? But how am I gonna retreat from the fight while I'm throwing blows? See my hand came up? Right. In an organized fashion. And so my hand, kind of in that boxer, kind of, right? Throw a jab, throw a jab, throw a jab. So I spent a lot of time doing that because the first style shield I fought with was very similar to his, slightly wider, a little shorter, but square or half round. It was a very small heater, what you call it, but it was only 25 by 24. And so it was a lot of footwork and dancing for a fat, tall man nowadays, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I'm too old for that shit. That being said, everything was very boxing-like in how I moved my shield, and I always had the angle here, and I would be moving this and moving, trying to keep my eyes, again, over the back of the shield, over the front of the shield, eyes on my opponent. So that's how I would break that training down. Is that kind of complete? Does that answer the question?
It does.
Okay, cool.
It does.
Did you have any questions?
After all of that,
No problem, brother.
I just need to go home and...
Awesome. He got it on video, and I talk way too much, so thank you for letting me be verbose.
No, thank you. That actually clarified a lot.
A lot of guys, once you get comfortable with the 1 through 6, the basics, put a wrap in there,
okay,
and just make the wrap one of them. And you can just say, I'm going to do a snap to a wrap on everything except for the offsides. Or I'm going to throw a slot shot in there on this particular thing. So a slot is the only thing not represented in that series. And you might be like, 1 slot, right? 2 slot, right? And you're just practicing that. And that's its own thing. Same thing on a wrap. The reason why it's not in this is it's not a flow shot. Now, what I mean by flow shot is this, is one of the things I do in my fighting a lot, and this is why I've made some choices on the strategy versus the tactics. So in my tactical thing, I actually really don't like shots that roll down like this because they're timeline a lot like a wrap. I know a lot of guys who do it really well, and I'm just not, maybe I don't do well. I think it's also because I'm 6'6", so my roll time is longer than some of the guys who are more compact by a couple inches, and that might impact it. The other thing is, a lot of guys are shooting the leg shot on that, and I like cracking somebody in the inside thigh, because 1, everybody else doesn't like being hit there and takes that, and 2, my sword recovery is a lot faster, so it's about time. And when I fought with the square shield, I had very little time because I had a very small defensive platform, and a lot of my defense was offense. So when you're doing this, look out for bad habits and triggers, and think about your time, right? Am I recovering my sword, right? And so when I say flow, I try really hard to have my sword always in motion in the most flowing way possible. And when you do this, it's really hard then to recover into a shot, and that's why it's not a great flow shot. It's a great shot, I use it, I just use it judiciously, right? And so wraps and slots, right, should then be built into your mind of, I'm probably gonna recover this or have to disengage and process, right? So when I check a wrap at somebody, boom, boom, I'm typically going out. What I'm typically not doing is going in on somebody and doing this, unless I'm pretty sure I'm gonna leg them and I'm gonna wind up over them or something because of the time it takes to recover the wrap into the fight. You'll learn that timing window as you get better, and you'll know how to break rule. Like in karate, what's a black belt? A guy who knows when to break rules. You'll get there, right? But I would say in the flow drill, get your flow level up so your rate of shot fire is very high, and then look for the nuances of some long-term shots. And what I would say is 2-beat shot, 2-beat shot, wraps are 2-beat shots. All of this is on a single beat, so the sword can recover. And anything that takes you more than recovery, right? If you look at it, I don't do this to a big long recovery. I crack it over the top, pull my hand back, sword is coming over my head, pulling back. That's a defensive line I'm returning to myself, and then I'm putting the sword back in guard, defensive line covering myself, right? Same thing here, boom, hand goes across here, harder to snap me in the face over here. The shield's available to go down from a leg block, but this is actually covering this. Meyer calls this, God, what did he call this? I really liked him. He's a really great, Meyer was a really great bastard sword guy. He was kind of a prick, but he hated Ponzi fighting. He liked a hard hand, he liked crashing somebody, and he would say, put it across their eyes and make them stand and deliver. and he would just be batting a rapier out of the way and trying to block the thrusts. He's like, I'll cover my face, pick it up, and I'm gonna blow past them and hit them, right? Can't do that in the SCA, but what we can do though is use that same warding guard. Now that's covered. Shield came up, I'm looking over this line again, right? And so be aware of when you're throwing your shots, how am I gonna recover the sword is also very important, right? Because some recoveries are slower, but some recoveries are ballistic, and you wanna work both kinds of recovery in your Pell work. So, a little long-winded again, but hopefully that helps.